Good afternoon, everyone. I will now be discussing the 5 dimensions of multicultural literacy as identified by author and educator Geneva Gay. Presented on the screen is the diagram representation of the dimensions. So these 5 dimensions are important because they serve as a framework for creating a culturally responsive learning environment. So now let us learn more about the 5 dimensions. So the first dimension is content integration. So this deals with the extent to which teachers use examples and content from a variety of cultures and groups to illustrate key concepts, generalizations, and issues within their subject area or disciplines. So this dimension involves incorporating multicultural perspectives and content into the curriculum across all subject areas. Example is that it can provide students with opportunities to engage with diverse viewpoints through debate and discussions in class, and secondly, celebrating cultural holidays and traditions throughout the year in a way that is inclusive of all students. Some additional examples include diverse voices and perspectives in literature, history, science, and other subjects, teaching about the contributions of underrepresented groups in various fields, and lastly, incorporating cultural celebrations and traditions into the curriculum. So secondly, we have the knowledge construction process. This describes how teachers help students to understand, investigate, and determine how the biases, frames of reference, and perspectives within a discipline influence the ways in which knowledge is constructed within it. So here students learn how to build knowledge themselves. Now, this dimension also involves challenging students to critically examine their own cultural assumptions and biases, as well as understand and respect the cultural perspectives of others. An example is challenging students to examine their own cultural biases and stereotypes through reflective writing and discussion. Additional examples for the construction process is encouraging students to explore their own cultural identities and backgrounds. Another one is discussing the impact of cultural stereotypes and biases on individuals and society. Next up, we have prejudice reduction. So this describes lessons and activities used by teachers to help students to develop positive attitudes towards different racial, ethnic, and cultural groups. Many research indicate that children come to school with many negative attitudes and misconceptions about different racial and ethnic groups. So this dimension involves creating a safe and inclusive learning environment where students feel valued and respected regardless of their cultural backgrounds. So an example here is teaching students strategies for recognizing and responding to prejudice and discrimination, such as standing up for others who are being targeted. Other examples for prejudice reduction is creating a classroom culture that values and respects diversity. You can also address and confront instances of bias or discrimination in your classroom, or provide opportunities for students to learn about and appreciate different cultures. The next dimension is equity pedagogy. So this exists when teachers modify their teaching in ways that will facilitate the academic achievement of students from diverse racial, cultural, and social class groups. Research indicates that academic achievements increase when cooperative teaching activities and strategies rather than competitive ones are used in instruction. So this dimension involves using teaching strategies and practices that are inclusive of all students and that promote equal educational opportunities. So an example for this is incorporating culturally relevant materials and perspectives into the curriculum, such as literature and media that reflect the experiences of diverse communities. Another one is through providing materials and resources that are inclusive of diverse backgrounds and perspectives. incorporating varied teaching strategies and methods to accommodate different learning styles and abilities, and of course, addressing and removing systemic barriers that hinder equal access to education. Next, we have empowering school culture and social structure. So this dimension involves promoting a school culture and social structure that supports diversity, equity, and social justice. This dimension focuses on creating a school environment where all the students, regardless of their cultural background, feel safe, supported, and valued. So one way to create an empowering school culture and social structure is to foster a sense of community and inclusiveness within the school. So this can be achieved through various strategies. One example is encouraging students to participate in extracurricular activities and clubs that celebrate diversity and promote social justice. We also have providing opportunities for parent and community involvement in school events and initiatives. Another is encouraging student leadership and activism around issues of diversity and social justice, and also fostering a school culture that values and celebrates diversity. So those were the 5 dimensions of multicultural literacy. I hope that you've learned something from our discussion because you will be using that knowledge to score on our activity, which will be facilitated by Ron.